So, what are Donald Trump and America up to again, celebrating 250 years of the USA in the spirit of Absurdistan? Let's take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen, because indeed the United States will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of its existence. And folks, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And the United States has been preparing for it since 2016, which is why a project called America 250 was established in 2016. Of course, since Donald Trump is Donald Trump, the America 250 project wasn't quite enough for him. So he established the Freedom 250 project, which is a White House project. So right now, there are two projects in the United States that are supposed to take care of the 250th anniversary celebrations. The celebrations marking the founding and creation of the United States are supposed to be a real blowout, and each side approaches it a little differently. Let's take a look at the slightly more normal side before we head into the world of bread and circuses, into the world of, oh my God, look at everything exploding, and into the world where entertainment and show business are connected with the state. So let's start with conservative America. The first America, which was founded, America will celebrate 250 years in 2026, and that's the classic one. A milestone in the subsequent development. So it's a group that is non-partisan and that operates through various exhibitions, performances, parades, museum displays, and so on. To summarize history, to summarize the United States, there are supposed to be various celebrations, different parades, exhibitions, lectures, and things like that. And it's supposed to be really very dignified. Yeah, a focus on community, a focus on the country, a focus on being American, but also a certain self-reflection, for example, whose freedom was restricted in the past in a country that considers itself so free. Current problems of the United States, where are the United States heading? Overall, it feels very intellectual, for example, but also charitable. Yeah, like Get Involved in America Gives, so basically volunteering, charitable activities, charity, largely substituting for the social safety net. Simply put, it's like show that you're an American and that you're a patriot by doing something for your country. Not just waving a flag, not just shouting slogans, but actually helping the people around you, actually helping your country, actually knowing something about your country and experiencing patriotism in a way where you're aware of the problems and you want to solve them, you want to discuss them, and you don't want to cover them up. Some might call it a weak, libtard, maybe a bit of a naive approach to celebrations, but I personally see it as a very realistic and very dignified way to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States. By looking at their history, present, and possible future a bit realistically, not with huge pomp, but of course still celebrating. Because America definitely has things to celebrate. The achievements of the United States over those 250 years are undeniable and enormous, and they certainly have reasons to be proud. But at the same time, it's always appropriate to admit certain mistakes so that you can possibly correct them. Yeah, so this is a project that was founded in 2016. Since then, various preparations, organization, and so on have been taking place. It should be non-partisan, it shouldn't be strictly ideological for just one political group. And Makkah is working on this. On the other hand, there's another project here that was founded by Donald Trump. And this project, as you can see, celebrates the European Union. But no, of course, that's a symbol, right? That comes from the American flag, which originally also had stars in a circle. But this project is simply different. It's a bit different. It's a project that is backed by Donald Trump and the White House. As it says here, under great leadership, under the leadership of the president, the working group Salute to America is organizing it. Salute Task Force 250 year-round celebrations that started on Memorial Day in 2025, or Memorial Day 2025, and will continue into 2026 and until its end. The White House is involving all levels of government, the private sector, nonprofit and educational institutions, and all citizens across the country in celebrating this historic milestone. To achieve this ambitious vision, we have created a new public-private partnership called Freedom 250. The goal of Task Force 250 is to inspire a renewed love for American history, encourage citizens to experience the beauty of our country, and ignite a spirit of adventure and innovation to help our nation succeed in the next 250 years. And to call on Americans to pray for our country and our people, and to rededicate themselves as one nation under God. So, you see, this is a bit more of a propagandistic approach, a bit more of not even patriotism, but more flag waving, a lot of highlighting achievements and very little self-reflection. And that's, of course, something that's typical not only for America, but especially for the current administration. But let's say it's an approach. It's an approach that's a bit more showy, a bit more overblown than the America 250 approach, but it's also an approach you could simply call intense American nationalism. It's something that's also part of America, something that's always belonged to them, and Americans have always been very, very nationalistic. And this is one of the ways it could be done. But then Donald Trump wouldn't be Donald Trump. It's not just about having American flags everywhere, decorations everywhere, and propaganda everywhere. No. It's also about organizing a huge American fair. Yeah, basically everything from America in one place. Texas steaks, ice sculptures from Alaska, the army, all of this, all in one place, a huge fair. But that's just the beginning. After that, there will be another great thing here, which will be called, and is called, Patriot Games. Patriot Games, it's supposed to be something like, how should I put it? I would call it an Olympiad, let's say, for high school students. And it will actually be a competition. It will be a kind of series of competitions for high school students. They will be working together and competing for some recognition together with their adult and patriotic mentor, often someone who is a military veteran. So in this respect, these will be interesting patriotic games. We'll see how it's carried out, but that's one of the aspects. And watch out, we started nicely from the ground up, right from the beginning, with the milder and less strange things. Yes, some big fair, some competitions in decoration, basically who will have the most beautiful patriotic house, who will have the most beautiful patriotic office, which building will be the most covered in flags and the most English themed, that one will win and simply get first prize, and it will be great and amazing. But that's not all. That's not all, ladies and gentlemen. Another thing that will happen is the Freedom Grand Prix. Freedom Grand Prix, now we're getting into more interesting territory because a formula race is being planned, and as you can see here in this graphic, it's going to be intense, it's going to be big, there will obviously be a lot of AI-generated situations, but most importantly, it's simply a Formula One race. It's a crazy show that's supposed to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States for some reason. Why is the Grand Prix supposed to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States? It's hard to say, but maybe it's because this is exactly the kind of show you want to give to the crowd, those games, so the crowd stops feeling like something's wrong in America. Instead of debating what America looks like, where it's headed, what its history is, the crowd just sees race cars going vroom, flags waving, and hooray, hooray things. So yeah, that's one of the points. But another point, which is pretty wild, is what we've already touched on and which I'm showing here in this Instagram post. So if you want, definitely follow me on Instagram. And that's an MMA UFC tournament in the White House garden. An MMA tournament in the White House garden. I'll repeat that. That's a total and absolute bread and circuses situation. Simply modern-style gladiator fights at the White House. That's something that's completely and totally detached from what it means to have a dignified celebration of American statehood, majesty, and anniversaries. That's just Caligula style. Now I'll give you blood and violence. I want your applause. Look how great everything is. Hey, fireworks. Hey, flags. Just don't ask about the debt. Don't ask about Hormuz. Definitely don't ask about fuel prices or the state of infrastructure. Look, you idiots, UFC and the White House garden, the merging of statehood and entertainment. That's what you want. Show business, guys, show business. And why do you want to turn your country into a show? And why do you want to sell out your statehood for show business? Because Donald Trump is great at show business. And when you turn an institution into show business, then a showman has a better chance to take control of that institution and a better chance to win in that institution. But it's a huge degradation of American statehood. Everyone must see that. And on top of all that, of course, there's also a golden cherry on top. Besides the fact that gladiators will be fighting in the White House gardens and there will be helicopters and government flags everywhere. So, of course, here comes the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's the cherry on top. Another game, more gladiator matches for the American population. Another show to make them forget how destructive Donald Trump and his administration are for the United States. Because greatness isn't measured by economic indicators or diplomatic respect. Greatness is measured by how many flags are flying and how loud people are shouting in the stadium. Remember that. Yeah. Above all, it's important to come back to that comparison again. America 2025 is a project that's planning celebrations of the United States and its history. Freedom 2020-2026 or Freedom 2250, something like that. Sorry, America 250 and Freedom 250 differ. In that, while America 250 is about America, Freedom 250 is about Trump. Yeah, that's the crucial thing. That's the main difference. So, America is preparing bread and circuses. On top of all that, of course, the unveiling of the start of the construction of the Triumphal Arch is expected, which will be great. Building a Triumphal Arch after the Americans totally screw up the war in Iran. And I have to say that the arrogance and pride of this nation, or rather one of the representatives of this nation, is, well, enormous. It's enormous. And if I were religious, I'd almost say it's a sign of some big downfall and disaster coming. That it's one of those moments when you say, yeah, here you can see how the empire is falling because the emperor is Nero and Caligula in one person. So that's how it is. Write in the comments what you think about it, how it makes you feel, because to me this feels really dystopian, really strange, extremely pompous, almost disgustingly twisted, as if it was cut straight out of the movie Idiocracy. Let me know. Support this content, write comments, share the video so everyone knows how idiotic America is, and I'll see you next time. Hey, and join the streams where this video was made. Bye.